There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, and we'll continue to let members in as they join us. Welcome, everyone, to our September conversation for annual members only. We are excited as homeschool moms ourselves, as well as people who work here at Homeschool Planet, to talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts, which is how to stay on top of and keep track of everything that you need to keep track of in your homeschool, specifically as it relates to ongoing reporting. And so, depending on the state that you're homeschooling in, there's going to be different requirements in terms of what you need to keep track of. There's going to be different requirements in terms of what you need to submit and to whom you need to submit when. Robin and I both homeschooled the majority of our years, if not all of your years, right,
All
Robin?
mine. Yeah.
All of mine as well, in a state that was incredibly hands off in terms of requirements and expecting us to contribute things. Although I think both of us at one point or another also worked through a charter system that did require us to submit attendance and grades and reporting and that kind of thing. So we have some familiarity with what it looks like from your perspective, but also having created the planner for homeschoolers across, I mean, not just the United States, but the world, we wanted to make sure that you are aware of all the functionality that exists to help you stay ahead and keep up on reports in your homeschool. So, what we're going to do today is just walk through what those specifically are, where you can locate them in the planner, how they work, the way that we've used them in the past, just so you don't end up. And I know we all say we're not going to do it, and Robin probably didn't. Robin is the most dedicated, on top
Yeah.
of things homeschool mom I've ever met. But um, for the rest of us, I do think that we've all had that panic when it's like, oh, I didn't keep up on this the way that I had intended to at the beginning of the school year, or gosh, now I need to grab this because I need to bring it in for an IEP, and I need, proof that this is the attendance at this particular therapist or whatever it may be. The best news is that you don't have to have those moments anymore, because Homeschool Planet is going to be maintaining records and keeping information for you all along the way throughout your homeschool year. And so we just want to make sure you know what's there and that you're able to access it, and that you can rest easy knowing that we've got you covered and that you don't have to jump through additional steps. So I am going to turn it over to Robin, and I think she's actually going to use a Homeschool Planet account that's near and dear to her heart to show us all these different tips and tricks that we can have for reporting throughout the year.
Yeah, I'm actually going to use my old account because I was a Homeschool Planet user before I worked for Homeschool Planet. And then eventually at some point I was creating sample images for our features page of report cards and grade reports and attendance. And my kids got wind of them and were like, Mom, Mom, are you serious? And I was like, it's fine. And then Hope pointed out I used her phone number on our website in an image and
Poor Hope.
wasn't so happy. So then I switched accounts, and then this is my older one because it has some actual records, which I thought would be easier to look at things. So I am going to share that account, which currently sadly has no students in school because all the babies have graduated. But I think that the most common item to use is actually, or that's needed just to cover your bases, is attendance. And setting attendance up is really straightforward and easy. I'm going to turn it off. And so when you log in, if it doesn't show attendance, you simply click the button and it will pull in your school years. It'll give you a summary of your start and end date, how many days, if you have a single year set up. Are any of these single years, or did I? So in 2016, when she was a wee baby, there's one period because I used to set up just beginning of year to end of year. And then it basically takes this information from what you've put in your school year calendar. And if your child is absent on a day, you can mark it off, and then you'll see this absent goes to 0. But the machine does it, the software does this all in the background for you. So you simply say track attendance. It tracks your school year. It assumes your student is present unless you mark them absent. And then when you need to print a report, you can print them at any time. So a month into school, you can print one at the end of each month. You can wait and do it at the end of the year. You simply hit print and say, yes, I'd like to do this. And then you can save as a PDF. And I generally make a copy of each thing and save it to my desktop. And then I have a folder that everything goes into. You can also print a hard copy if you want. So I could technically go back right now and print all the school years and put them in a file. So there they are, one after the other. But that's how easy it is to track attendance. You simply turn on one click, track attendance. I can do the same thing. Is there anyone I didn't? I did not track attendance for Carolyn, probably because she was graduated by that point and helping her sisters. And it will pull up the year, assume they were present. You can mark any dates as off and it will reflect those on the calendar, but that's all there is to it. Any questions about attendance? I mean, it's really
It's
just
so easy and straightforward. It's
straightforward.
crazy how easy and straightforward it is compared to what I had to do to track attendance when we were in a charter school. Like this would have been so convenient to
Yeah,
just like download it as a PDF and email it, you know what I mean, directly to our teacher. So
right. I think the next thing, a lot of people find that they need a record of learning, that they need to provide to someone saying, yes, I did X. And so I'm going to allow you to grab that. Most people use the assignment list as what they are going to do in the coming week. So they're going to run a report for the beginning of this week to the end of this week, or today, or the beginning of the month. But it's also very helpful as a record of learning. So I can go in, I can say, I want to look just at Hope. I can pick specific dates. I can pick a particular school year. So I could say, I need to know what we did in first semester of 2020-21. And then I can go in and I can put in specific dates. So I said 2020, 2021. I should have done this the easy way here. Let's go to August. Oh, I still did this wrong. 2021. No, 2020, 2021 is August 2020. Let's say the 3rd through, I can say, I need to know what we did up through, let's say 12/31/2020. So I just need to see a list of things that were done here. I'm going to say any status, meaning complete or incomplete. And I am going to include notes. Well, then it's going to run me this list that I can say, you think I didn't do school on Monday, August 24th? Here is what we did. And I can filter it multiple ways by student, by date. I can pull a report that just lays out this is what we did each day. And this is obviously a lengthy report because it runs August through December, but it will show and give record of every item we did on Tuesday, September 22nd. That's my brother's birthday. That we
happy
had
birthday.
an economics class, we had literature, we did composition, US history, contextual chemistry. It gives me a solid look. I can then print that and save to PDF. I can also email it. I can just type in, let's send it to Hopi because she'll be so excited to know what she did. And then it is going to send her a copy of this whole report and it will send me a copy as well. So I have a record. And so if you have a charter school you report to, if you have an umbrella school you report to, if you just want records for your own, because you, in California, you can file an affidavit. Whoever you report to, you can send it directly to them, or you can keep it on your own desktop of exactly what was done. So again, I could go in and say, tell me what I'm doing this coming week, but I can also pull any report or record of learning, which will show exactly what day it was, and I get a record that way. And this report does not have grades, because sometimes you want to share individual grades and sometimes you don't, which is why they are separate reports. If you prefer to show grades, you can go instead into the grade report. And then I can again pick a particular, I can customize and pick a particular time period and say, show me. This is giving me all the way from the beginning back, but I can say, let's go to reporting period. Let's do semester 2 of that year and click OK. And then it's going to give me either a summary. This is what the grades were by grading categories, or I can go in and say details, and this will give me each assignment broken down. Exactly what the assignment was and what the specific score is. And again, I can print it to my printer. I can print it and save it as a PDF, or I can email it directly to someone. Does that make sense?
It does. So there's a question that came in from an annual member who wasn't able to join us live today. And what she asked, and I think you're going to have your solution for this, and it's probably the one that we want to recommend, is that she's using the assignment list to be able to show a record of learning, like what's been completed throughout the month, but also has to submit actual learning samples. So one history, one, art, one whatever, along with it. How did you manage keeping track of the actual worksheets that were completed or the actual assignment itself to be able to show not just the record of learning, but also the samples of learning?
So I had a folder on my Google Drive for each student, and we called it Learning Period 1, Learning Period 2, and I would add the link to it. I wonder if I can do that here. Let's go month, boom. Let's try March of 2021. And I would tell my students, I think I pulled those because I got rid of them all already. So let me show you though what I would do. Gosh, I have so many links. Is I would add a drive to the class. So I would go into resources, assign a resource. I'm going to add a resource that is a website. And we're going to call this youtube.com because I don't know what it was. But this would, instead of youtube.com, be samples
It
lesson.
would be like a Google Doc
It would
URL
be
that's
My
in
Google
there.
Drive where I
Right.
had each of them, and I had granted we said ES, but I know everyone has different acronyms, access to that drive. And so I would put a link on my calendar. We'll make it good for the whole year. And then all my student had to do, I already forgot where I just put this. Is it this class? I should pay attention, not talk, right?
No, you got it.
Samples lesson period 1. Boom, boom, boom. And then they would just click that and upload the doc to there.
That drive.
So if I go here to this, it's taking me, well, to Conceptual Academy, which we used for chemistry. But if that was my Google Drive, then they know to drag it up to there.
That's great. I love that the ES had access to it too. So it literally eliminated you having to do that shuffle of like grabbing papers and we don't have one for this. And what about this subject? Like it's
Right.
all there, easy and ready to go. It's also great
Now,
for portfolio tracking for states that have a regular expectation of submitting either an annual or a semester portfolio. You can do exactly the same thing where you use the drive to gather the learning samples that you need to be able to produce for the portfolio and have it all in one place from the point of it being completed in the planner.
Now, I'm going to be full disclosure. I can be a little control freakish, you know. So, no one was allowed to upload something unless I said that was what I wanted uploaded because I didn't want it to be too perfect and make it look like, oh, I'm the homeschool mom that everything we do is 100. And I didn't want it like, your handwriting's terrible. That's going to make me insane. Give me one that looks better. So, we all have our
Well,
quirky
and
things.
as a mom, I probably would have uploaded it myself, but I would have done it through the planner. Like I would have done it, so that it's all in one place and it's keeping us on track that day instead of having to backtrack and go through.
Right. And
So we do, oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I want to make sure you're done with this topic because we have another question
I
about
see
something
that. That's
else.
what I was
Okay,
going to
good.
jump to. So
Okay, good.
I included grading in my classes that had grading. So like this is a government class.
Actually, you
And
know what? Let me read the question out for our
okay.
replay peeps so they know what we're doing. I mean, just
Sure.
so I think they could probably keep up. But the question is, so how do you track grading? Like we saw how you can access the grading list or the grading report, but how do you actually track it?
So my assignments are all tracked either to not graded, homework, when they hit a test. Do you want me to show how to set up grading in a class? So in any class, you can go to grading and select set up grading. And in this particular class, homework was worth 20%, tests were 20, participation was 10, exams were 20, and projects were 20. Goodness. And discussion questions were 10. So that adds up to 100. And so then I would enter the grades whenever I did the work. So in this particular class, these were, let me make this a little bit bigger. I just entered the grade for each assignment, and then it would push that grade to their report cards, to their grade reports. I don't know if I'm not sure if, can you clarify if when you say how do you track grading, do you mean how do I set up grading or how do I watch it? Because I would sometimes want to see just a particular class. So if I only want to see what is the grade in this class right now, I'm probably going to go to the grading tab. I'm going to hit view details and see how things are looking, or I'm going to pull all assignments for that particular class. Boom, 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 boom. If, however, I want to see all my classes, I'm going to run a grade report if I want specific grades for each assignment, or a report card if I want to see the overall grades. Does that make sense?
It does.
So a report card I'm going to pull here, I'm going to view, and then it's going to tell me what are the items we had grading pre-entered. With Thinkwell, they graded it online, and so I just dumped in the grade at the end of the year. So I can go in here and go edit and set this to whatever I want it to be. Boop. And then it tracks that grade. Does that make sense?
So it's a hi Robin. So it's good to know that there is a grading feature here, and I'm like very new to this. So if you could like slowly just walk me through one more time the actual place where okay, this is where I actually set up the grading, right? And then this is how I actually enter the grades because report just shows that, right? So I wanted to see that portion where you actually configure it so that you can track it in both the portions. How do you configure and how do you track?
Okay, so let's make a fake class. Let's go to today. Let's go back to week view just because I like week view. And I'm going to put a class on the calendar here. And I'm going to call this geography test class. And we will pretend Hopi Girl is back in school. And I'm going to say this class is every weekday from 9:25 until, let's just make it a month long. So this, and I'm going to throw in assignments. So I can start with a completely blank slate. And then I am actually going to use the assignment generator. And I'm going to add some tests to this class. So I'm going to say after 25 school days, I have 5 that are only going to be on Fridays. And I'm going to call these tests. No, just test. Yes. Boom. Save and close. So now this class has lessons and tests. So then if I want to add grading, I'm first going to go here to the grading tab and I'm going to click set up grading. And it's going to say, okay, well, what are your grading categories? And I'm going to say we have homework, which is going to be worth 40% of their grade, and we have tests, which are going to be worth 60% of their grade. This has to equal 100. I have to click out of it for it to count. So this equals 100. So then I'm going to save. And the software is immediately going to say, hey, well, you have all these assignments. What do you want to do? So I can say, leave it as it is. I don't want to deal with this right now. I can also mark them as not graded, or I can call them homework or tests. Since the majority of these are going to be homework, I'm going to mark that top radial button as homework. And then anywhere I see test, I'm going to change that. So that is going to count as a test in the rubric when it's grading. So these are all now marked, and I say, okay, and I save and close. And now, because each of these assignments has a grade that is supposed to be entered for it, you'll see I see the word grades in the upper right-hand corner. So I can enter grades a number of ways, but the easiest is simply to click this, and then we're going to give Hope a 97 today. I can enter in a percentage. I can enter in instead 22 out of 24, and it will do the percentage for me. I can do either format. And then I click OK, and now that is a recorded grade. Now, if I click a grade for a date that hasn't come on the calendar yet, it's going to say, hey, this is in the future and you haven't marked it complete. If it is in arrears, let's actually take this grade out. So now this is marked incomplete and there are no grades. So instead, I'm going to mark the assignment complete. And I think my assignments are set to disappear when I've marked them complete. I can't remember. Oh, no, not in my personal account. Just like I can use the rescheduling helper, I can go to the grading helper and it's going to say, hey, these assignments are in the past and today you should enter grades for them. And so then at that point, I can also do either the number out of, or I can put in a percentage and then that grade is entered. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's perfect. So, do I have to put then grade for each and every assignment, or can I just say chapter one, this is a grade?
You can do it any way you like. Absolutely. Lots of people just put in, that's why I have so many grading categories because they are in different ways. Sometimes I would like think well, which was what my kids or my younger girls did online. I just pulled in the grade. So I would make one assignment at the end of the school year sometimes and just put in semester grade. And that was it. And it was worth 100% of their grade because I knew the breakdown was in the online course they took.
Okay. Yeah, my son is also taking classes. So I don't know, would it be possible for you to show like how do you bring in some grading from somewhere else and put it here?
Well, you would, so let's add a semester end grade. So let's say, when did I have this class ending? October 31st. I'm going to add another assignment to this day. I'm going to call it semester grade. And in this case, I've already have split up to two. So if you're going to just pull in one grade, all you're going to do is make that one assignment on the end and then add the grade like you would any other. So it's going to say, hey, do you really want to enter grades? Because it's in the future. I'm going to say yes. And you would literally just type in whatever that grade was right there.
Okay. So for classes, so you're suggesting that, let's say, if some class, like math is taken at some other school, you could just potentially, for the planning you've done here, just put the grade at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Got it.
I would
Okay.
probably do, especially in high school, it's things have changed over the years where it used to be we received, when I was young, and I'm old, we received report cards, quarterly and semesters. One school I went to did trimesters, but transcripts ended up with one grade for the school year, and that's really changed. So I recommend semester grades if you have a university bound student who is going to need a transcript to see that semester breakdown.
I know we're going to get to transcripts in just a minute, but the reason why is because these grades will now just automatically populate. Like you're not going to have to do a lot of extra effort to be able to create a high school transcript for your child if you're doing this along the way. I also just want to make sure everyone knows this will be available for replay. So if you're tracking with Robin, if you're like, wait, I didn't get to the next step that she talked about, you can always go back and review this on your annual member page. And then we also have our user guide. And our user guide is fantastic because it gives you screenshot
Step by step.
instructions. It also gives you the option to watch a video, just like what Robin's showing you today. It's Robin in, is it every video now it's you? It is, right? There's not any, there might be some old
Probably.
ones that aren't Robin, but most of them are Robin, and she's doing exactly what she's doing today, taking a screen and walking you through how to do each of these things. Also, as an annual member, if you ever have any questions at all, you can always reach out to support or you can reply directly to me. I'm the one that's sending the emails to you as annual members, and I can get you where you need to go in terms of support.
And the
We
user
did.
guide, I'm going to just take this opportunity. All you can, if you're in the planner, you can go to help and user guide, and it will take you directly to the user guide. You can put in grades and it's going to show you, do you need to know how to edit, enter, delete, student permissions, all the different things that would have to do setting up grading categories, scales, etc. And so, and it also, if you're on the website, you just go to support and user guide will take you there. But
We
yes,
do
you
have
have to listen to me.
I think everybody loves it. The truth is that there's just something so valuable and so helpful about having someone walk you through every single step. Our planner is robust and it's designed to be robust so that it will do everything for you so that you don't have to jump through extra hoops. But we recognize that getting to know it and understanding exactly all of its functionality is something that takes time. And so we do want to make sure that you know what resources you have available to you to answer any questions that you have all along the way. That's also what this meeting is about. So thank you for answering the question or for asking the questions in this meeting so that we can directly support you and answer them and everyone else can learn as well as Robin takes us through. We do have another question from Andrea, and I'll share my answer, and then I
It's going
have
to
a
be
feeling you're going to
different.
say, well, it might be similar. I actually think our reason for doing it might be different, but the end result will be likely the same. Or maybe not. I'll be surprised if you say no. I do recommend keeping a portfolio, even if your state doesn't requirement. And here's why. There's actually a couple of reasons. The first is, and this is a very personal reason as a homeschool mom, I found it to be very helpful for me, especially in years that were challenging for my children. For those of you that don't know me, I have two children who have some pretty significant learning differences. And so managing our journey all along the way and staying committed and engaged at times was very difficult because it felt like we didn't make any progress at all sometimes. And the portfolio at the end of each semester for me was like a moment to take stock of all we had actually accomplished and all we had progressed. So I think on a personal level, it's very helpful. I also think that even if your state doesn't require it now, if you are in a state like we're in, where you are having to at least tell the state that you're homeschooling, right? You have to notify them that you are homeschooling. Part of our notification still basically said that if the state had questions, if the school district wanted to ask for information about how our children were progressing, if someone from the outside said, I don't think those children are getting the education that they need, I don't think that they're getting um, access to all the things that they're supposed to have access to. And if, God forbid, there was some sort of investigation or someone did come and have questions about how my children were progressing, I liked having portfolios to be able to show their progress, to be able to show records of learning. I always kept attendance and had it ready to go in case there was any question. This actually came up for me when my son was hospitalized for an extended period of time. He had to go into just as part of being hospitalized, like a hospital school, because that was set up as part of the program since he was going to be receiving treatment over time. And so I had to bring in and actually homeschool him through the hospital school and had to show records of learning and show records of what he was doing, where he was currently at, what he was reading. It's the only time it happened, and it was a very specific circumstance. I've heard of just a handful of families that have had to do that. But I do think it protects you and it protects your children. And it also highlights, again, the learning that's happening in your home. I don't think it's a bad idea to take the time to capture that in some way. I can tell you that in my garage, I have a box, like one of those, what do you call it, bins for each of my children, and their portfolios are in there. And I still go back and look at them every once in a while. Especially the younger years. The younger years, they're so much prettier than the high school years where it's just stacks of paper. But either way, I think it's worth it.
So my original response was going to be no, but I guess I did. I just never called it a portfolio. So
Mhm.
I had a folder for each kid's work, like you finished your math and it went, your work, your page you did. Well, those were like spiral notebooks where they did the work and it just went in page after page. I would save them until the end of the school year. And along with their tests, my kids had history notebooks for history. They had lab journals for science. And then, Shauna, sometimes I know she thinks, Robin, you could have stopped. But we had a burn party at the end of our school year each
That's so
year
great.
where we would take like, I don't need to keep, if you did 150 math assignments, the work for 150 math. So I would go through and pull like lesson 1, lesson 20, lesson 40, 60, 80, et cetera. So I've got just a few. I would set those aside again. So if someone came and said, well, did you do math? Yes, here's
Mhm.
my grade book. You can see all my grades in Homeschool Planet, and here's the work that backs it up. Look, March 2nd, 2020, we did Pythagorean theorem. And here is the page. Look, it matches. But we took all the work that we were not keeping, and the kids got to throw it in our fire pit. And
I
it was
love
like
that so
their
much.
favorite thing ever. I'm like, wow, you're excited to burn up all the work you
So
put.
you did keep a portfolio
So I did.
because
Yeah,
that's
we
what I
didn't
did. I
call
just
it a
pulled out like
portfolio, but
select
that is what we
assignments.
did. And I also have, and I think I kept more of their K through 6 work until
Yeah,
they
I did too.
finished 8th grade. And when they finished 8th grade, I felt like I could pare that K to 6 down because now you have a junior high graduation. And then when they graduated high school, I pared down their junior high work. So it was similar. And then when they graduated college, I pared down their high school work. Because, I mean, Christopher and David's master degrees, I don't think anyone's coming to me and saying, hey, did they finish 3rd grade math? That said, they love looking
Yeah.
at their work. And then, of course, I was going to say sweet little monsters, so I guess I'll just go with that. Whose handwriting was best in third grade, or who's this, that, and the other. So, yeah, that's a portfolio, but it was really just, I was trying to make sure if I was ever questioned, I had the work. And it turned out they just like to see what they were like when they were young.
So Andrea, I mean, you asked for our opinions. Those really are just our opinions. You don't have to. If your state doesn't require it. In fact, in our state, I think all we had to have was attendance. You didn't even, I mean, you did need to be
Yeah.
able to show learning progress, I think is how it was defined in some of the fine print, but there was nothing that required us to do that. I found it to be helpful, and it was also kind of like peace of mind. Like if and when, someone were to ask, I had myself covered.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
I'm
the
going to
only
quickly
other thing,
go ahead.
oh, I was going to say that people might want to know as they're tracking is class hours.
Oh,
Neither
yeah.
Shauna nor myself lived in a state that required us to track hours. But some states do, which is why it's available in Homeschool Planet. And so if you go to settings, general, you will see there is a tab called track class hours, and you can track hours for your classes by assignment method, meaning you can record the amount for each individual assignment or by the class. And whichever you pick here, you can still override that in the individual class. And you can pick whether your format is, colon, or whether it's in minutes and hours, or it's in decimal. But you make a selection there, and then in any class, you'll see this little clock up here. I can go into the class, I can go into the track hours, and I can turn it off and say, yeah, I don't need to track hours for this class. And you'll see if I save and close now, those little clocks disappear. Or I can turn it back on and track hours and say, I would like the class method. And if we don't enter anything, assume we did 30 minutes per day. So it will track that at 30 minutes. So if you need to turn that in to be on top, you can show at the end of the year, we did 42 hours and 30 minutes on geography or on whatever the course may be. And that's also going to be in your reports menu, class hours, and it's going to say, hey, what'd you do on core versus non-core classes? So Hope did 279 hours and 45 minutes, 1 hour on core, and 278 hours and 45 minutes on non-core. And then again, you can instead break it down by subject. You can break it down by class. You can break it down by individual assignments and whatever it may be. And if you don't need to track hours, I wouldn't.
No.
Could you all see I tended to track my kids' chores because I really like them to do their chores on time. But tracking hours is another thing. The software will just do it for you, and it's just like attendance. You just print it at the end.
I'm glad you covered that because there are some states that require that more than days that you're in school. So for those of you that live in those states, the planner can do it for you so that you don't have to worry about it. I do also like that it lets you set a default so that you're not having to go in there and track hours every single day for every single class. You can just assume
Yeah.
it's 30 minutes unless something changes. And
Or
the
20, or
planner,
you can put in
right,
any default you want.
right. It's great.
So,
All
Anyway,
right.
I just had a quick question. Just going back to the school portfolio, I just read a question in one of the homeschool groups where the mom said that when you fill the common app for colleges, they had to actually put a school report. And then that's where actually she wrote all the information of the classes they took, the curriculums, etc., like everything they did in school. And my first thought was, is there some place in Homeschool Planet I can just put it because I have all the classes there? So that way I don't have to create like a whole separate document to do all that. Does that make sense?
It does. So I think there's actually two questions here. The first is what does the Common App require if you're a homeschooler applying? And there's options in terms of what you upload to the Common App when you are filling it out for your high schooler. And I do know that for different schools, there are different requirements for homeschoolers. But in general, you're going to have, you could do your class list and you could do your transcript to show whatever the actual grading and actual progression through classes were. What it sounds like this mom was referencing is something that's a little bit different because she wanted to provide more information, probably to a college who requires it. They do reference it as a portfolio, but basically what it is it's like a class description and a blurb of like scope and sequence almost of what's covered in the class. And so, what she's providing, in addition to the courses that were completed and the grades associated with the transcript, is a little bit more information about what was learned in each of the individual classes. So, Robin, can you think of a way to pull that information together
In
in
a
one quick, easy
single
way?
document?
Probably not,
Not
right? It would
not
be,
really. No, I would probably, but I didn't have any universities for any of my kids expect me to give course descriptions and such.
I had to, but it was very simple. It was like, I think it was even just part of the transcript upload. They wanted the transcript and then they wanted a course description right behind it.
Got it. I mean, you can print your or save or, all the different options, your class list, but there's not a single document that includes classes and descriptions and individual grades.
I will say that list would have been helpful though, because what I would have done had I had Homeschool Planet back then was taken that list. And for any of the actual lessons that we did that were associated with other curriculum companies, they did allow you to just take the company's curriculum description and add it. And so, like for that Think Well class that was on there, you could go to the website and grab it and put it on and have it be done instead of having to reinvent the wheel and come up with extra information.
I will say in my newer account, I went ahead and for each of my kids' classes, so if it was my economics class, I did upload a course description to each course. But I think we only added that maybe 3 or 4 years ago that there was a slot for a course description. So I added those, and I had a notebook that had the course description from each class.
So
Um,
if you added a course description here, would it show up on a report then? Is there a place to print it? Because that would do it if you
well,
just
you
had the
can print
course
it right
description
from
there,
here.
but only for that one course or for all the
Yes.
course descriptions associated with that kid.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's in there and it's still, I think, easier than having to reinvent the wheel like from scratch, the way that I did back in the day when we were going through the Common App, but it's not just like you press a button and all the course descriptions print out. You would need to go through and do each individual course.
Yeah.
Good question.
All right. Anything else?
I mean, the only other thing we haven't covered today, and I don't think we need to because it exists already in our end of year reporting conversation that we had back in May, is the actual transcripts, because that is going to be one ongoing school record that you're going to access throughout the course of the year if you have a student who's in high school. So I'm going to refer everybody back to our annual member page to be able to watch that one because it's more involved. It
It's
gives
more
you a
involved.
lot more information than Robin's going to be able to walk us through today. Are there any other questions though, before I wrap us up and talk about all the goodies that are coming your way next month? And then the next, actually through the end of the year, we've got some good things planned for you guys.
I don't think so.
All right. Okay. So Robin, you want to tell him what the free lesson plan is for next month?
It is the Wizard of Oz.
I don't.
Except my kids now, if the movie pops on, they're like, the shoes aren't supposed to be red. They're supposed to be silver. So, but my
Mine
kids
too.
kind of, they're like, and then they start launching into this movie is actually a socio-economic, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay. When you were uneducated 8-year-olds, it was a lot more fun to watch The
Absolutely.
Wizard of Oz.
So
Um,
we have a Wizard of Oz novel study that will be free effective tomorrow, and you'll get an email with the code, and it'll also be available on the annual member page. And then we also have a beautiful fall nature. It's a nature study. It's a nature activity that's going to be available, or that might
it's
already be
already
available for free.
available.
We just haven't announced it yet. So it's
Yeah.
in there and available for you to grab.
Yep.
It's
It's free. You
absolutely
can just add to
beautiful.
cart.
And it just gives you, we're giving you two things for free this month, so that you have access for different kids, different abilities, different things that they're focused on. You've got a nature walk and you've got the novel study. We also have we just finished planning through the end of the year, and we have some really exciting, sort of fabulous things coming up, including inviting publishers to come and join us in the next 6 months or so. We're going to have a couple that are going to pop in and join us and talk specifically about aspects of homeschooling, different homeschooling approaches, and get you to know sort of behind the scenes what's going into some of the curriculum that we are so happy to share and to partner with on our platform. In the meantime, if there's no other questions, I just want to make sure you guys know to expect the email in your inbox that will have all the information for your October freebies, as well as this replay. And then we will also put everything in your password protected space so that it's all there at your fingertips. Again, if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us at support or reply directly to me, and we'll get you where you need to go for the support that you need. We hope this helps as you're thinking about going through this homeschool year, knowing that we've got your back, that Homeschool Planet is keeping track of what you need, even in the background. Sometimes, if you don't even know it, it's all there so that when you need the information, we've got it easily accessible for you. So I hope everyone has a great October. We'll see you again late next month. And in the meantime, be on the lookout in your email inbox. I'll be popping in shortly with our replay and with your free lesson. Have a great month, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.